like the Earth. A human body and its magnetic fields looks like the Earth. The revolving Andromeda galaxy looks like a cell, and so on and so forth. Everything's a constant repetition of everything that you see around you. We'll be right back after the break at thevinnieeastwoodshow.com. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Vinny Eastwood Show. It is the show from which you cannot hide, no matter how hard you try, on AmericanFreedomRadio.com, 5 days a week, ladies and gentlemen. And I encourage people to listen in 5 days a week if you want to expand your mind, learn about different things, and so on and so forth. I don't know how everybody else thinks, but here's what I think. If you keep learning about the same stuff all the time, you become stagnant and you become mentally disabled in a lot of ways. You forget how to learn. You forget how to be open. You forget this important ability to wake up to things that you previously were completely unaware of. And a lot of people, they choose to sit in denial because they've come to the point where they understand one thing and one thing only, and therefore that understanding of that one thing gives them comfort, and then they try to reject everything else that would seek to destroy that level of comfort. I have news for you. If you're comfortable, it means that you're becoming weak. Okay? If you are exercising all the time and you are building up these big muscles, as soon as you stop exercising, what happens to those muscles when they're not being used? They start to go back to nothing and becoming weak. Your brain is the same thing. And so is your heart. You know, I see a lot of people who have bad relationships and they break up and they think, oh, I'll never find love again or whatever. And they never choose to exercise that heart muscle. And as a result, they become really loveless. All right. So this is what this show is about. It's about exercising your funny bone, exercising your heart, and exercising your mind on a daily basis so that you never lose that potential strength. Alex Ansari, the man with the Ansaris, is my guest, and I was just thinking about natural heritage and what people have a propensity to do. Like I have I think an Irish and a Scottish background, and I like to hold things like I like to hold a pint of beer. I like to hold a glass of scotch kind of thing. I think they might have to do something with my ancestry. Do you like to hold Stinger missile launchers and AK-47s, considering you got the Afghanistan background, bro?
You know, it's ironic. I haven't really gotten into firearms. I do like, I don't talk about it a lot, but I love all types of martial arts. I've been training in different styles since I was 13. Aikido, boxing, a little of everything. And I had some really good mentors and teachers when I was younger. So even though I don't get out there and I pit fight, there's something I like about training and pushing my body to the max and using my internal energy, my ki, as I move, as I flow. That may come from thousands of years of fighting with the hands. Now, I didn't see that in my father. He tried to breed that out of me, actually tried to beat it out of me. One night.
That's ironic. That's ironic. You know, don't fight people with your hands while he's beating you up.
Don't be like Rambo. Anybody can be Rambo. You need to go to school and worship this Western system that I came here to worship. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, let me not go off. But I've always felt a desire to be in the mountains. And people went, why, Alex, would you be in Colorado? Like, you could die out there in the desert. Well, it just so turns out, check this out, Vincent. The military does aircraft flyovers, the area of the desert where I was staying, because that terrain is the closest to Afghanistan of anywhere in the U.S., so they have a training range. Now, you'd think a guy like me would be traumatized with aircraft flying over. They haven't been too invasive, and no one's effed with me. I've been grateful I just wasn't in the city, so I haven't minded their planes. Big friggin' deal. You do your thing, I'll do mine. And there's also a kind of psychological safety of being in the so-called enemy's backyard. They're not going to bomb themselves. Something beautiful about the San Luis Valley for those that live in Colorado. They should look me up. So I feel that being drawn to a part of the United States, only a couple of days drive from Portland, that's a lot like Afghanistan. And for a few months, we didn't get into how I've been surviving. But let's just say, folks, it's in the mind. You gotta, if you can deal with the heat, the cold, and not having entertainment around you, if you can deal with those thoughts you have, if you can quiet yourself and you're willing to get close to God and say, well, what do you want to tell me? Why'd you bring me here? Seriously. No, what do you have to say? I'm listening. If you have that type of psychological willingness, it'll help. So I've been baking bread, Vincent, like Afghanis did. I never learned how to bake bread, but I started getting organic flour, in my hibachi hibachi grill, no gas, no propane, grabbing sagebrush, little lighter fluid, and baking bread over fire has been done for thousands of years. I never baked bread till I got out there. So I felt like that simple act was just like going back a few thousand years. Yes, I live in a world where just a year ago, people were talking about the end of the world as we know it, 2012. And I'm living in an area that looks like the land before time that my ancestors lived in. And it's right here in the United States. People can live off the grid. They're Vincent for less than $5,000. They can build their home. They can get their building permits. They can be legal, and they can have a community of people to live free together. What I've learned, Vincent, is that there's not enough people out there in the so-called truth community trying to set themselves free. I thought that is a bigger issue than drones and the government doing this and the government doing that. It's one thing to be upset with your enslavement. It's another thing to not even try to free yourself because you believe that you can't when you haven't even tried. There is a virus, Vincent, that has infected many of our listeners. They don't ever believe that they're ever going to be free or get out of what they're in because of what they've already read or learned, something that's polluted their mind. And what people don't know is there are more and more counties and small areas in this country that are removing fluoride from their water. By the way, China is producing the sodium fluoride that is going into the water supply. There's sodium fluoride and potassium fluoride. When you start awakening to the fact that there are people in this country that live off of mountain runoff that is not contaminated by their local government, there's more evidence I see every day that there are people living free that never heard of a new world order because they're not in an area where it's up in their grill. And people need to know that. You know, it's one thing to want to fight this on Facebook and constantly tell the CIA how much you're learning. I understand that. We all want to show people how much we know on Facebook. It's a whole other thing to go beyond what we're so upset about and challenge ourselves. And I want to conclude here on this point. There's someone that I know that's very aware of these things, and she's messaging me saying, how could you live out there without your own water? Are you serious? Our ancestors used to haul water in. The Rio Grande River was only 3 miles from where I was staying. And I'm trying to explain this to her. You can get 5-gallon BPA free containers. You can fill them up. You can pick them up. Not trying to talk to you like you're stupid. But it's like you almost have to talk to people like they're children politely and with respect because they've been damaged by this system. So they're going, we don't like New World Order. We don't like world government, but we're not going to haul our own water. We're not going to have our husband outfit our car to have a 200-gallon container with a pump to go bring in our water so we can grow whatever we want. By the way, weed is legal, Vincent. In Colorado, you can grow up to 6 plants. You can have your pot utopia if you can bear to live with somebody else. See, so, I mean, I'm like you. I want to deal with root causes. Why aren't we free? Why don't we have our own territory? Why don't we have our own tent cities where we don't have to deal with the rainbow family group and people that just want to get high? That doesn't work for some of us. I've tried. Others have tried. We need to keep trying to raise the bar to be independent and just be self-honest with ourselves. That's what I've learned from this last year.
I was thinking about diversity now. Think about the diverse ways that the New World Order is fracking all of us, and you know, in every conceivable way. You know, you talked about, say, if people are drinking water from mountain runoff that hasn't been contaminated by their local council, and then I was just thinking, yep, that's assuming it hasn't been chemtrailed, and there's particulate traces of aluminium and barium and strontium and so on and so forth. It's like, for every bit of freedom that you think that you've gained, you can get really negative about it and think that in other ways you haven't been quite successful. And I came to this conclusion about a year ago, that there's so many, it's kind of like a cactus, right? You know, you got all these spines coming out in all of these different directions and so on and so forth. For every spine that's going out in every different direction to protect the cactus, there's an attack by the New World Order coming at it from each and every comparable direction, right? That's our existence now. So that means whatever attack that you resist, playing your part of the spine in the cactus, whatever way you resist, that's a good thing. It's only when you stop playing your part, it's only when you stop trying to be free, it's only when you stop trying to resist agendas and so on and so forth, that's when you know for a fact that you are a slave, not because somebody made you a slave, but because you made yourself a slave.
That's true, and to continue on with what you're saying, I just brought this up as you were speaking. We tend to judge something as good or bad when we're having an experience, just in general. you know, and my whole thing was not about, oh, I'm going to go there and be completely self-sufficient and have my own land and, you know, live the free life. It doesn't work that way. It was to have an experience of something that would make me stronger. And now I'm thinking about, what am I going to continue this winter to continue that and not become lazy and not complacent on my laurels, but to keep moving forward. We don't always know why something is good or bad, but there is a Chinese proverb that I've known since I was young. It's called good luck, bad luck. And I'm sure you've heard of it, but it deals with an old man. This comes from ancient China, who his son finds a number of horses and he brings the horses back. And everybody said it was such a good omen for him.
Oh,
it was so great.
I have seen this. I have
all
heard
these
this.
horses.
Yeah. This is
It's a
in
great
Charlie
thing.
Wilson's War.
That's right.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah, it's been repeated several times. I heard it when I was really young. But I'm going to try to sum it up. Everybody's saying it's good. He's like, good, bad, we'll see. You know, he's playing the middle of the road. We don't know yet. Let's see what happens. His son tries to tame one of these wild horses, falls off, breaks his leg. So now all the villagers are like, oh my God, that's horrible. I mean, your son broke his leg. This is bad. He's like, you know, good, bad. We will see in time. Well, the Chinese army comes, the Imperial army, and they're taking the sons. They're taking the villages. They're having their own draft. And his son can't go. His son has a broken leg. So now it's a good thing. So we see in many cases in my life, I remember this parable because I see mirroring examples of it all the time. Mm-hmm. And it reminds me, just step back from just freaking out that this is a bad thing. Maybe doors are closing here in order for doors to open over here.
Yeah, my former producer had a saying: for every door that closes, a window opens, and I believe in that quite strongly, because every time you've been down on your luck where you think things can't get any worse, trust me, they can always get worse. And every time when you're down on your luck and you think things are never going to get better, surprisingly enough, they always get better. And it's like, whatever you think is going to happen, you just have to wait and see.
That's true. Wait and see. Take a look at everything. Take a look again, take a look at the bigger picture, and that's what we need to do. There's a lot of people looking at the smaller picture, and they're feeling sorry for themselves, and they're feeling like victims. I see quite a bit of it, and I'm just trying to help people. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. But when I look at the majority of the people, what they post on Facebook today, I understand we're sharing information, but most people can agree on some level. It's all about threats to physical survival. So we at least have to make an attempt. And there's all types of Eastern philosophy we can find for thousands of years that have talked about the journey. That's not about the destination. It's about the journey. It's how you live your life. I don't like this phrase, the road to hell was paved with good intentions. I think that's bullcrap. I think that good intentions can lead us to good things. And some people just say that because they don't even want to try to do anything.
This reminds me of a John Lennon quote. John Lennon was told by his mother, at the point of life, his son is what? And he says, it's to be happy. And he goes, oh, okay then. And he goes to school, and the teacher has an assignment, gives out to all the students, and it says, what do you want to do for a career? And John Lennon answers, well, I just want to be happy. And the teacher told him, well, you didn't understand the assignment. And then he tells the teacher, you don't understand life.
That's good. Well, I guess the journey is to be happy. But then again, I want to be happy about the real things. I read this other article about, well, maybe we have sadness for a reason, and just to be just happy all the time just is this weird.
People avoid pain and discomfort and difficulty, and it's bad.
Right.
If you've got all of one and not of the other, it makes you lose appreciation for the other. Kind of like if you were born into wealth, you don't appreciate the freedom that poverty gives you.
Right. Yeah, the same thing could be said about that which we perceive to be the light and those working with the light, and that which we perceive to be darkness and those helping the dark side of the dark forces. As souls in this reincarnation wheel, which I do believe we're in one, that may go big beyond what we know today. But, we read these reports about the universe being a hologram or being a simulation. This is no longer a new idea. Interestingly enough, they're studying cosmic rays, which relate to the magnetic field and the sun and things of that nature. They're looking at how cosmic rays affect the Earth itself in some of their studies on, is this a computer simulation? So I just think we should keep an open mind as to why